What's up guys, my name is Ace, and I'm honestly a little bit surprised I'm making this video, but we're going to be talking about Warzone today, because yesterday we got a big blog post diving deep into Black Ops Royale, which is coming with the mid-season update for Season 2 next week. And this is something they've teased and announced a long time ago, and basically teased it as like Blackout 2.0, and it's going to be a game mode within Warzone. And since I did enjoy Blackout when it first came out, Battle Royale was really just starting to take off at that point. I decided to check out the blog and read through it, and the more I read, the more I'm really interested in checking this mode out. And so today I wanted to go through this blog and talk about some of the higher level details at least. Keep in mind, this video is not a deep dive of the blog. I'm not going to go through literally every detail we learned about it. I just wanted to pick through some of the things that I found intriguing and discuss my thoughts on them, because honestly, my expectations for this like Blackout 2.0 or Blackout Revival were quite low. I didn't think they were going to go as deep as they are going with this, and I honestly didn't think it would be enough for me to be interested enough to check it out, but I'm definitely going to be, at the very least, checking this out once it launches. So let's dive into this with some of the details. The first thing to point out is this is going to be taking place on Avalon, the map that we currently have available for endgame, so we can already explore the map and see what it's all about, and you can see all the points of interest. However, they did point out and outline a bunch of adjustments they're making specific to Battle Royale, primarily reducing a lot of the water areas so you don't have to swim quite as often or rely on boats as much to get around the map, especially in the current like tier 3, tier 4 area in the endgame version of the map. So it's not going to be the exact Avalon that we're used to, but at least the general structure and layout is still going to be there. And with this, it is just a mode, as I said, and it's included in the free-to-play Warzone, so it is going to be free-to-play. And unfortunately, at least at launch, it's going to be a quads mode from what I'm seeing here. So there's going to be 100 players total, so that means 25 teams of 4. That's the part I'm a little annoyed with. I would rather play this solo personally. It doesn't look like solos will be there, at least at launch, but I could see them expanding this over time. And with this mode, unlike the regular Warzone experience, there are no loadouts at all. So just like the original Blackout, everybody drops in with the same starter pistol, and you have to loot all of your guns and your perks and ammo and armor and everything like that. However, one key difference here from the original Blackout, where you also had to loot individual attachments and you could build your weapon loadout as a match progressed by manually adding attachments to your gun. With this system, they're keeping it a little more simple, and they're just going to have the weapon rarity system. So you're going to have your gray, green, blue, purple, and orange. And each tier will just denote how many attachments are on that gun. And so it's possible to just get lucky and find a high tier gun right away, or you can pick up a gray gun and you can upgrade it over time, but not by picking up individual attachments. Instead, you pick up attachment kits, which you'll just find around the map. Every time you pick one up, it just increases the rarity of your gun, so it'll add an attachment on. And this rarity not only adds attachments, it also adds additional benefits like faster reload speeds, lower recoil, higher bullet velocities, even if those things weren't attached to the attachments that were just placed on the gun. But I do like the idea of this system where you have to build your guns up over time, but it's not so complex that you have to micromanage every single attachment that's being placed on. You just upgrade your gun by finding these attachment kits. Now, there is quite a bit more that goes into this that I'm not going to get into today, and these are like weapon archetypes. So for the same gun, there will be potentially multiple different paths of attachments that will unlock for that will take it in a different direction. So there is quite a bit of depth here as well. It's not overly simplistic. After that, though, when it comes to your quote-unquote loadout, which, as I said, there's no loadout, so like no loadout drops, no buy stations, nothing like that. However, like the original Blackout, you can find perks around the map, and these are consumable perks that you have to activate, just like in the original Blackout. So if you want to hear footsteps more effectively, you can activate the awareness perk, and for a limited period of time while it's active, you will hear those footsteps louder. But once the timer expires, so does the perk, and it's just gone from your inventory. That's obviously just one example. We've also got like Brawler, Engineer, Iron Lungs, Looter, Medic, Mobility. Those are just a handful of examples, but consumable perks are back. And then obviously on top of that, there's going to be various forms of equipment around the map. So like lethals, tacticals, including the grapple hook, which is coming back from the OG Blackout. We got the sensor dart returning as well. There's also various field upgrades you can pick up and killstreaks. And these are all of the available killstreaks that we'll be able to find for this mode. And very notably here, there are no UAVs or advanced UAVs in this whatsoever. So it's not like in Warzone where you hit the buy station, grab UAVs and hunt squads from there. It's not going to work like that. It's going to be more like a traditional Battle Royale. However, a massive improvement. One of my biggest gripes with Blackout, at least looking back, was the fact that there were no redeploy options. And therefore, if you're playing with friends, for instance, and you drop in and you have a really good start, but one of your friends dies, well, too bad. They're just stuck spectating you for the rest of that match. And then oftentimes you would just do a reset, so you just kill yourself and start it over again so your buddy doesn't have to sit there and watch you for 20 minutes. At the time for Battle Royales, that was normal. However, I believe it was Apex that introduced the respawn towers or beacons, and then basically all Battle Royales from then on followed suit with that. And it turns out with this mode, we will have access to redeploy towers as well as redeploy tokens. So everybody will spawn in with a redeploy token, so you automatically get one free respawn. There's no gulag, by the way. You don't have to win a gulag to get back. You just have a respawn token. And then on top of those respawn tokens, we have redeploy towers, where you can go and redeploy your teammate by activating the tower, and you have to stand within the radius for a period of time. And if you do, then your teammate will redeploy. That is going to be a massive improvement from the original Blackout, at least in my eyes. I know some people like the purity of the original, where once you die, that's it. It's game over for you, and everyone else can just move on knowing that that player's not going to respawn and come after you again. Now, another big topic to discuss here is armor. Tiered armor is coming back from the original Blackout, and with this, we're still going to have armor plates and an armor satchel, and then on top of that, we have 3 tiers of vests, tier 1, 2, and 3, and each one provides an additional layer of damage mitigation. However, that damage mitigation only works if you have armor plates equipped, so it doesn't work on your health value, and so that still means you have to plate up after taking damage, and you still have to be finding armor plates. And they do mention here you can't drop your armor, like once you pick it up, that's just applied to you. And you can always pick up higher tier armor, but you can't pick up lower tier armor, meaning you can't drop armor for teammates. However, you can loot armor off of enemies. So if you kill somebody with a tier 3 vest, you can go get his tier 3 vest now and upgrade. And when it comes to this, I know this was quite controversial back in the day with Blackout because it relies very heavily on luck, especially early on in games. If you drop in right next to an enemy player and you each loot a chest, one of you gets a tier 3 vest, the other doesn't get any vest at all, or maybe gets a tier 1, well, too bad. You got unlucky, and that guy is almost definitely going to kill you because tier 3 armor provided a pretty significant advantage over tier 1 armor. So I think many saw it as quite a big improvement with Warzone, where they made things a lot more like balanced and fair, where from the get-go, everybody had the same capacity for your total HP value with armor plates, and it was just that you had to find armor plates themselves. In saying that though, I think there's definitely something to be said in a Battle Royale for having a little bit of loot luck and having that little bit of higher tension and the bigger moments, the bigger highs when you do get high tier loot. It actually means something, and it can make a big difference on how your next gunfight or how the match in general is going to go for you. Also, that does tend to settle out throughout a match. Like as you continue killing players and getting more looting opportunities, most players do end up finding those higher tier vests. And so once you get into like the end game of that match, it's at least a lot less luck based. But I'm really excited to return to something like this, even if it does introduce a little more randomness into the experience. Then on top of that, to ensure that there's plenty of things to do throughout a match outside of just a pure Battle Royale experience, they're going to have various activities, and they outlined a bunch of these, like the redeploy tower, which we already discussed. There's also going to be relay antennas, which will act as like a stationary UAV pulse. So as I said, you don't have a UAV score streak, but you do have the relay antenna, which will reveal enemies that are in the area of that antenna. There's also surprise shipments, surveillance drones, ammo caches. So lots of things going on around the map that you can interact with and potentially get some higher tier loot out of it or some extra information that would be helpful to your match. And then finally, operator missions are returning. That was another huge thing that I really enjoyed with Blackout, where there are things you can do in-game to permanently unlock operators to use. And some of them were quite difficult and really showed that you put a lot of time or you are a really good player if you saw somebody using that particular operator. So I think that's excellent to have that added layer of depth to the experience. And with that, that's pretty much it for all of the important, like, higher level things that I wanted to talk about. I guess I did do almost a deep dive here, but just know there are quite a few more little details to be aware of here. I guess one thing I didn't mention is like the quick menu that you can access as well. The UI is going to be at least somewhat similar to the original. And as I said at the beginning, this surprised me. I didn't think they were going to go this far with it. I thought they were basically just going to do like a full-on copy and paste of the rule set, at least, of the original Blackout, but like on the new map, with no real modern improvements or anything. And while that would have some initial hype and interest, it would probably die off pretty quickly. Instead, it looks like they really targeted the root of what Blackout was, while recognizing that Battle Royale has come a long way since then, and there was room for improvement to that experience, while still maintaining the core of that experience. And I think that's great, and that's what really piqued my interest with this. And it's why I'm absolutely going to be checking this mode out once it comes with the Season 2 Reloaded update. Maybe not right away or anything. It might not be the first thing I hop into. My primary interest still lies with the multiplayer side of things, which we are going to be getting more details on, I believe tomorrow they mentioned. So I'll be covering all those details. In saying all of this though, I am going to be real with you guys. I don't see this maintaining my interest long term. I'm still not particularly interested in Battle Royale as a genre. I'm kind of just burnt out on it. But for a little bit of a nostalgia kick and just for a different gameplay experience, I am looking forward to checking out this Black Ops Battle Royale that's coming next week. Now, of course, these are all just my thoughts, and I'm really curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Now that we have all the details for this Black Ops Royale, how are you feeling about it, and do you see yourself checking it out when it arrives? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.